Another big question is, what can be done during sleep? As for the first few months, so much of your baby's day is spent sleeping. And if they have that strong preference to always have their head in one direction, sleep is generally the biggest culprit for that flat area on their head.
As part of the Back to Sleep campaign to reduce the incidence of SIDS, or sudden infant death syndrome, the Canadian Pediatric Society and American Academy of Pediatrics recommend that for the first year of life, your baby be placed on their back on a firm crib mattress free from any pillows, stuffies, loose blankets, or bumper pads.
If your baby is sleeping in a bassinet in your room, when you lay them down, pick the end of the bassinet that when you lay them in it, if they are stimulated to turn towards your sounds and smells in the bed, which they will be, they are going to look away from that flat side. Likewise, if they are sleeping in their own room in a crib, pick the end of the crib that when you lay them down, they are going to look away from their flat spot to look towards the door, as they will be most stimulated to look to where you enter the room and light and sounds from the rest of the house are coming from. Now, keep in mind that if your baby does have torticollis or a neck muscle imbalance, it will be very hard for them to change that preference during sleep until you have been able to work on those exercises as prescribed by a physiotherapist to help treat that neck muscle imbalance. In a crib or a bassinet, we do not recommend the use of an overhang dangling mobile. The reason for this is that will draw your baby's attention upwards, and as soon as they're upwards, gravity is just going to roll them back into their flat spot. So instead, you can use crib bar toys such as an aquarium or any other crib bar toy that attaches directly to the crib bars, so that your baby can be stimulated to look towards that and again look away from their flat spot to achieve counter pressure on the side that is not flat. Also, for brachycephaly babies, where the head is flat right in the middle of the back of the head, we often see that these babies tend to sleep with their arms up by their head, effectively shifting that much more weight onto their head and shoulders and pinning themselves on the bed. If that sounds like your baby, you can try swaddling your baby again and see if that helps. Another consideration for both awake time and sleep time is to really try and limit the amount of time that your baby spends in any type of seat or device. At the same time that the Back to Sleep campaign was started in the mid-90s, this is also when we saw a real increase in baby swings, travel systems where car seats clip right into the stroller, vibrating bouncy chairs, you name it. We've all seen them in all the baby stores, and most of us have used them. The key is to make sure that we limit the time that our babies are spending in those devices, as they are consistently getting pressure on their head in those devices, and especially in those first couple of months, they don't have the head control against gravity to keep themselves upright, so they will almost always be tilting and slightly turning to one side. The other consideration is that in such a reclined seat, not only is there pressure on the back of the head, but that pressure is actually on an angle, which can end up sending the back of their head up a little bit higher than the front, which we often see in babies with brachycephaly.
Baby wearing can be a great alternative to seats, swings, and travel systems. It frees up your hands to allow you to get things done while ensuring no pressure is on the back of your baby's head. Baby wearing also helps your baby organize their sensory system, which can lead to a calmer, happier baby.
Another thing that we want to consider is the impact of feeding. I cannot stress this enough, but if you are having any difficulties with breastfeeding, one side more than the other, or difficulties with latch, please seek out assistance from a lactation consultant, a breastfeeding physician, or a physiotherapist who has been trained in breastfeeding support, such as myself or another breastfeeding physiotherapist in your area. It is such a crucial thing to investigate because that neck muscle imbalance that we've previously talked about, those jaw muscle imbalances, have huge impacts on a baby's ability to latch properly. And as we know from the research, the earlier those issues are addressed, the faster and more completely they will resolve. The other thing to consider when it comes to feeding is if you are doing bottle feeding or supplementing and your baby does have a flat area on their head, you want to ensure that as you are using the bottle to feed, you are getting counter pressure on that non-flat side. For example, if your baby has a flat area on that right side of their head, then you are going to place their head in your arm to take the bottle so that the counter pressure is on that left side, which would mean that their head is in your right arm. If the flat area is on the left side of your baby's head, then you are going to put their head in your left arm so that the counter pressure they receive is on that non-flat right side. This is also important for snuggling your baby to sleep. If visitors are over and wanting a snuggle with babe, make sure that they are holding them in the arm that gets the counter pressure on the side that we want. Aside from all of these considerations, there's just a couple more to think about. Pay attention to your diaper changing station. If you notice that whenever you lay your baby on the table to change their diaper, they're consistently looking in that direction that they're preferring, switch it up, move them to the other side. Pay attention to which side you are opting to burp your baby on.
If you are using a baby bath and your baby does have a preference to look in one direction, change the position of the tub so that your baby has to look away from their flat spot to look at you. Sometimes, despite your best efforts at repositioning, your baby may be too mobile to achieve adequate counter pressure, or the asymmetry may be quite severe and you may still be concerned with the flat area on your baby's head. In such circumstances, cranial remodeling orthoses, more commonly known as corrective helmets, can be very effective at improving your baby's head shape. In the Calgary area, the Star family of helmets by Orthomerica are available through Braceworks Custom Orthotics, and the 3D printed snug cap is available through the Pediatric Head Shape Clinic. Corrective helmets are generally worn 23 hours per day for an average of 3 to 5 months, depending on how old your baby is when you begin treatment. It is very important to give repositioning a solid effort, particularly if your baby is under 5 months of age, before considering a corrective helmet.
Thank you for watching this video today. I hope that it answered most, if not all, of your questions on how to get started with repositioning to correct that flat area on your baby's head. If you do still have concerns, and especially if you are having issues with breastfeeding, or if you suspect that your baby may have a neck muscle imbalance or a torticollis, please do not hesitate to discuss those concerns with your primary care physician and seek out an assessment from your local infant physiotherapist. In the Calgary area, infant physiotherapy and breastfeeding support services are available at Milestones Physical Therapy Services and Lakeview Physiotherapy and Acupuncture. Calgary Youth Physiotherapy has a number of infant physiotherapists, and Vita Health and Wellness offers infant physiotherapy and breastfeeding support. Due to COVID-19, all of these providers are currently offering virtual therapy assessment and treatment via telehealth.